Welcome to Facing the Nation for February 2nd. Welcome to Facing the Nation for February 2nd, 2024. I know we haven't met in a while. There's been so much happening, in the Dome of Parliament. As you know, budget estimates and are currently going on. And last week we had the budget debate. So there's a lot to talk about. Of course, as we start the program, I want to remind you to call up a friend, call up a neighbor, let them know Facing the Nation is on. And today we're coming from the Artichon Convention Center where Parliament is being held. And so call up somebody, and of course check us on our platforms, the People's National Congress Reform page on Facebook, the People's National Congress Reform YouTube, APNUFC, Facebook, and of course Channel 6. Today with me, of course, we're going to keep the same line. A lot is happening with the budget, the talks, the estimates, and so much money is being spent. I know we didn't hear a lot of him during this period, but today we'll definitely catch up. My guest is none other than the former Minister of Public Works, none other than Mr. David Patterson. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Welcome to our viewers. I'm glad to be here, glad to give them any insights on what we're supposed to be what is the biggest budget ever.
Biggest budget ever. I'm now trying to recall if this is the first time I'm having you on Facing the Nation. I'm not even sure.
No, I was here and I was on before.
One, but it was a long time, so yes, we're definitely overdue for that visit. Yes. Now, a lot has been happening with the budget talks. I believe you were unwell during the time of your presentation, and so we didn't get to hear that much anticipated presentation, because we know this budget, what it is looking like in terms of infrastructure. So I want to give you that opportunity today to talk to the viewers about what we're seeing. Let's start out. What is your thought about the budget generally?
Well, I mean, just a lot of numbers. I mean, it's heartless, it's soulless. I mean, it's just like if you somebody says to you something, but it's bland, it has no meaning, doesn't inspire you. The biggest budget ever in the history of Guyana. There's not a soul on the man on the street. Even the business people. I mean, it's been out since January the 15th. Almost a month. You haven't gone to any shop, you haven't gone to any one of your friends' homes or anything like that, and not a single soul has been enthused that I would have interacted with the budget. So it tells you that obviously whatever they're trying to achieve hasn't hit the mark. It hasn't, there's no one that I know that said they're eagerly awaiting this afternoon when the budget finally will be passed. In our time while we were ministers, we were eagerly awaiting it.
Correct.
I can't wait till Friday come, because Monday morning I collect this, Tuesday this, I'll be able to buy this. I'm going to take a loan on for a house, something. But so it just shows it's a heartless, soulless budget. A set of numbers, and when you interrogate it, the numbers really mean nothing at all. When I was in school, you try to kerfuffle you. When you or waffle, when the teacher asks you to write a question, you know nothing at all, but you fill up the page with what you call waffle
or bluff.
block. So that's really is the budget,
Mhm.
and it'd be hard pressed, you know. I mean, in not only in public works, the petroleum ministry or something like that. I mean, education, youth and sports. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, big shout out to Shamar Joseph. Welcome back. Well done, young man. You know, there's nothing in it even for us to go and find the next Shamar Joseph. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
Correct.
uh, that's my general overtake of the budget. You know.
So, looking at the budget, I do believe what we are hearing from persons looking in and inspecting, a lot of the money put into this budget will be going to infrastructure. We're looking around, we're seeing what's happening. And I mean, the reason why a lot of persons are saying, man, we can't eat brick or sand, cement and stones. So, but that's where we're seeing the majority of the budget going. Let's talk about that.
Right. This year's budget, I think, for public works is $204 billion. You know, what I mean, that's a lot of money
Mhm.
to put in the hands of Edgil and then, you know, what I mean, those guys been out to sea. We tried pulling them back. We tried bringing them, tried putting up a signal to let them know what the direction they should be. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But they just lost the sea. Look, once again, big numbers. But when you and I said to I did a program on the weekend. It's this budget for public works is like a three-card trick. I mean, you know those guys that play three cards and you go on the Starbrook market and those things like that. They say it out, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Look where I put in these cards here and put your money. And then obviously when you put your money, they con you. The, this budget, if you look at it,
Mhm.
first, let's start off. The PPP has never, ever, ever successfully completed a major project, ever.
Mhm.
I mean, we can go back to Skeldon, we could go back to CGIA, you could go to the Marriott, you know what I mean? You just name it.
Mhm.
And this budget is just a continuation of that
Okay.
poor performance. I mean,
Mhm.
let's speak about the Linden to Mabura. The minister admitted, I mean, it's supposed to be finishing this year. um, it's only 13% completed. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
if you want to talk about the new Demerara Harbor Bridge, I mean, it's only 23% completed. It's supposed to be
Mhm.
finished. It's supposed to be finished at the end of this year, and it's
We're
nowhere near
close to
close.
finish.
So even starting, all they've done is lay the temporary that platform that people see there is where the equipment will drive on. That doesn't has zero to do with the actual construction
Construction.
of the business. Like if you building a house, you know, you clear the land there, you put up a storage shed where you work, where your guys
Yes.
work on and bend the steel. That's what you're seeing, and then they're trying to mislead people to think that that's the actual that is the working platform. You look at the Linden Suits Dyke, the highway last year. They put in $5 billion to
Mhm.
do that every year, and we come to what they do. They just put these numbers in, but they only spend 55 million. 55 million, $5 billion of budgeted to Linden to like to repair that road that's
Mhm.
deteriorating, been there so long. They only spent 55 million. This year they're putting in 10,
Mhm.
but they're not going to spend it because they don't have the capacity, not the brains, and then of course the
Mhm.
corruption and
It's
everything
high.
like that. You know, what I
Mhm.
mean, if you the East Bank Road, I mean, they've opened up a new road, the Heroes Highway, but soon as you pass Grove all the way to Linden,
Mhm.
that hasn't even started.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But they have in the budget another $10 million. You talk about the Wisma Bridge. I
Mhm.
mean, so but they put these monies in, knowing they can't do it,
Mhm.
knowing that nothing will be done. It's just like if you put up a billboard coming soon. So this
Mhm.
budget, if you want in public works, it's a coming soon budget,
Mhm.
and the coming soon will not be this year nor next year.
Mhm.
And I do anticipate that now that, of course, the election year is built for 2025, we'll be in a massive chaos. I mean, they'll be trying to do all sort of little projects just to
Mhm.
show that they've done it and begging
Mhm.
for more time to complete it. We'll be in a massive of things, you know. So that if you look at every single what they will call transformative project that they're going to do, I mean, quarantine since 2022, 2 years ago,
Mhm.
2.5 years ago, they said out they're upgrading the quarantine road. I mean, they're about like 6 bridges to be done there. Two and
Mhm.
a half years are not finished. Every single aspect of thing that they were going to do some bridges on the Linden to Lethem. They said, oh, 58 bridges. 2 years on, none is finished.
None.
So basically, this ministry was able to spend about 80% of what they were given in 2023, which means that $40 billion, which could have gone to this year about 40 to 50 billion dollars, right, could have gone to ease the cost of living and because there's no use giving people that can't spend money this amount of money. So and this will be the trend, and then there was one really interesting area which I found very amusing, and the bishop Edger was very elusive. In 2022, they came to the National Assembly with a project. They said they were building new government's offices. And that project at the time in 2022, they came for $2.6 billion. The project was supposed to be $10 billion to finish these offices. When I asked in 2022, budget, the minister said that they're building these new offices right there in Wrights Lane in Kingston. To replace the timber buildings there. Next year, in the 2023, the year after giving the contractor $2.4 billion in 2022, in 2023, the year after, he came back to Parliament and said, no, we've changed our mind. We're now building a bigger office block for $15 billion. We've changed the location, and we want to give in this year budget, 2023's budget, you're giving the contractor $4 billion in this new location. This year, 2024, after paying the contractor 7 billion Guyana dollars, they announced who's done absolutely nothing. He hasn't cut a blade of grass, hammer, nail. $7 billion, Caribbean Green Construction Limited or something like that. They announced that they're moving to a new location somewhere up in Houston, which means that now there's a company that has 7 billion Guyana dollars for 2 years, but doing absolutely nothing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if the reason why we bring these things out, if somebody has $7 billion, the teachers, the nurses, the policemen, and you could have given these $7 billion. If you're not ready for the project, you could have given these $7 billion, given it out, increase the salaries, because you paying for work you haven't done nothing at all. But they give a contractor, I don't know, maybe investigating where he's from, but no doubt you'll end up to see some connection with them. So a company has a $7 billion for taxpayers' money. Lo and behold, we found out he's building a hotel. So in other words, the government of Guyana is funding that hotel because the man has $7 million advance, did nothing. 2 years,
$7 billion.
$7 billion, $35 million US dollars for 2 years, not even hammering a nail. So in that 204, there's several projects just like that.
And we see as well, even the school in Linden.
Yes, Bamia.
Bamia School.
Yes.
Where we're hearing that they've eventually done some work, but now they're admitting they're incapable of completing it, and now will seek to outsource or subcontract to complete that school.
Well, that's exactly what I was starting at the beginning of the program, how they're putting money and they can't finish the project. So they give Bamia, they give it to Hits and Jams, Hits and Jams, Kachi in Shanghai.
Yeah.
Not speaking about, not talking about conflict of interest, because I think Kashif is the chairman of the National Sports
Youth. Yes.
Yes, and then
Sports and Youth.
Sports and Youth,
Something.
So you have. Imagine if it was the coalition's time that something like that would have happened. Of course, they have no shame. What it is, They've given a contract out for $1 billion to Critic, whose only qualification for the job is cussing out people, in particular black people. I mean, I've said it,
Yeah.
and whenever he's ready, I mean, he curses me out. So I don't mind. I mean, particularly black people. You can remember this is a man that said that has been on TV. That said that when you show black people a book, it's like if it's a zombie on them, they go screaming.
Correct.
And then they go to church. I mean, this is a man. They've given him $1 billion contract. The man has not built anything in his life. I mean, prior to being Jackio's spokesperson, he used to work at a vulcanizing shop. I know him. He used to work at a vulcanizing shop. Then he started doing these things. Then he started cursing out black people.
And then he got a spot.
Elevated up and now rewarded out. I mean, the man is proud to go on TV. He said that he runs $1 billion industry. And I hear a lot of persons on this is now generally talking about the contracts that they're giving out and those things like that to everybody. Well, and I want to ask them to look around and let's be frank and fair. You know what I mean? Where is the black critic? Where is the black guy that was doing nothing? If you so are even and so forth, where is the
and he's given $1 billion
that just like that with no qualification, no nothing, and the Kashi from Shanghai, who's been in their camp since I think 2011. You remember, so they publicly. They now can't even. They've been there. They've
not even gotten $1 billion
contract. You know, we hit some jams. Who has been very closely associated to them. You know what I mean? But and they will get them and say, "Oh, we don't discriminate. We don't do that. We don't do that." But you act, and I'm saying this, and it's nothing to do with the thing, but it's just a fact. I mean, I went to Linden and they say, oh, they're giving out all these, they're giving out these cleaning the drains and so, but where is Region 10? You want to take over Region 10. Where's Region 10's $1 billion contract?
They went to box on 25 contractors, you give $5 million.
$5 million to do, but you can't say, they can't use the excuse that the Region 10 black contractors doesn't have the qualifications because you give critic. Who is just a comedian and a talk show person, but you give him $1 billion contract.
Correct.
And these are the things these are the things that we must not be scared to speak about. You know, the people are scared of people. But when next they come and they tell you how they love you and they're giving you all these things, put up your hand and say, Jagdio Ali, where your levels with one Guyana, right? We want to see somebody.
$1 billion.
We want to see, you know, I mean, I think $1 billion contract or $2 billion, and you cannot say it out that it's a question of money and financial experience. I don't even think critic has a CXC, right? So you know, what I mean, it can't be education either. So that on that, and I'm not scared to call a spade, and I am calling a spade a spade.
So we're seeing all of the uneven and the unfairness in how contracts are going out, yet still we hear and we sit when these estimates are being reviewed and people talking about, oh, there's a procurement procedure and all these things are happening. So we see that on one hand, and we also have something that we're seeing because one of the other complaints that you're getting, particularly in a lot of villages, a lot of these contracts are, yes, being given out to persons, but persons who actually either waiting on somebody who's qualified to do it. So you have a situation where a road is started in an area and they dig it up and 2 months pass and nothing else has happened in that area. How do we intend to deal with these issues?
Well, one, I thank you very much, very, very quickly. One of the things I want to ask our viewers this year, well, let me be very clear, ladies and gentlemen. We are on, the clock has started. The race to 2025 has broken already. In my opinion, right now we are ahead. As I'm talking about the opposition, we're ahead of the race, but we have to be honest. These guys have access to a lot of money. They have no scruples about misusing it. They have no scruples about corruption. They have no scruples about enrichment of their friends and family to get by. They have no scruples of buying votes. You know what I mean? You look at every single outreach that they do. They look, and on their Facebook, they look for the darkest persons that attended and put them up on the Facebook. I mean, you don't. So you would think that only Afro Guyanese go to these outreaches, and so they're on a mission to try not whitewash, blackwash their image. But the race has started. What we have to do is now hold them their feet to the fire. So therefore, all your viewers start taking pictures. You know what I mean? Like
taking pictures and post.
Taking pictures and post. You hear it how you take a picture from day one, and every time you go into work, it's on your phone. You take it and you post, and we can catalog it, and you can see. And then when they're finished, because these roads that they're building, when the rainfall is
2 and 3 weeks, sometimes 1 month,
and there's cracks in it and those things like that. You know, they take a road that was 14 feet wide and they narrow it down to 10 feet. You know, what I mean, a car and a donkey car can't pass on the road anymore. And then they come to you and they say, "Oh, there's progress." We are an oil producing country. They just, and ladies and gentlemen, they just announced about 4 or 5 days that we have now producing 600,000 barrels a day. Let me explain. $600,000 at the rate of a barrel today, right? A barrel of oil, that's 48 million US dollars a day. Guyana's share out of that in US dollars every day is about $8 to $9 million. So we're getting $8 to $9 million US dollars a day right now for doing nothing at all. The government is getting that money.
Yeah.
You mean it, or you instead of increasing our roads, making it better, sharing the wealth, they're not doing it. They're taking the money to pie the sky. They're spending $400 million of that money on a gas ashore project that will, I don't know, will ever finish. You know what I mean? Just because Jack Leo wanted it there and said he's going to do there. But in context, so we're getting $7 million US dollars a day. They give pensioners $3,000 increase, and then the Minister of Finance said that it will cost the country $4.8 billion. But in fact, there's only 4 days oil produced. 4 days. So that's what our pensioners are really worth in a year of 365 days. I mean, the people that we stand on, the people that made us and brought us to this great point where we have so much money. 4 days. That's our 4 days of oil production in 365 days. That's the increase they give. They didn't even give them a week or a month, because you know how they have to slave. You give them a week worth of what the money we earned with the oil. At least, you know what I mean, you could say to them that, you know what I mean, and make a policy. But we'll do it. Yep. Those pensioners struggled. I mean, forget under who. I mean, they came from the 50s and the 60s to hard times.
Correct.
They did with so little they made us so much they gave us. You know what I mean? 4 days of oil production money, and they
all together.
That's what the increase of all the pensioners is worth. You know what I mean? So that's why what I'm saying is a heartless, soulless budget. You know, there is nothing. You know, I mean, you go to Region 10. I mean, come on. Why is there no university in Region 10? There's 1 in 10.
And we saw them closing down the nursing
school, you know what I mean?
Which we need nurses.
So this year they closed the nurses school. Our nurses are leaving because they're underpaid, but they're building 12 new hospitals. They're
correct. So what's the plan to fill those hospitals?
Yes, and what is the quality of service that you'll get, even if they fill it, because you're bringing Cubans. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Cubans, a great thing. You're bringing people that don't even speak the language, and you get misdiagnosed. You have the fanciest, brightest, newest hospital, but you're still dropping dead because the service there, because hospitals doesn't cure you. It's the doctors and the nurses and the equipment those who diagnose and cure you, you know what I mean, you got the best hospital, your mortality rate will still continue to go down. You know what I mean? Carnage, I mean, road carnage. We're talking about every single day we be losing innocent persons on our road. Not a single measure. Not a single measure in the budget in this $1.14 trillion is there to address things like public transportation. We have so much money, the government could have gone out and bought 200 big buses, and not to compete with the minibuses, but only for the pensioners and school children. Allow them to travel free. I mean, you put 200 buses, you pay them, and they travel all the way down the East Coast, the East Bank, on the main roads. You're bringing them in town for congestion.
Correct.
So you bring in from start over Linden, and the 3 buses leave Linden and come down the highway. They drop off students and pick up students. When they come, the same thing on the East Coast, same on the East Bank, so that you do something for the pensioners. I mean, the minibuses can carry the normal set of passengers who. But we could have done that with a budget I did. Schedule 8 o'clock, or my old granny could walk out of her house, and she knows at 8 o'clock a bus will pass.
Will be there,
and that bus will pass, and it'll drop her to collect her NIS. And because of course of the $3,000 they're giving you for old age pension, you got to spend about $1,500, $2,000
to get transportation
back to collect it. But at 8 o'clock they would come, and she could stand up at this particular place. They'll pick her up at 8. Safe, some coaches drivers will drop her back off at home. That she wants to go to the market.
That's a plan.
That's what you do with $1 trillion. That's what you do with that sort of money that you have. I mean, you think about your people, not only, not just your friends, families, and favorites.
I would like to have your thought before we wrap up on the incident that is making its rounds on Facebook at this point, Guyanese should have become accustomed to the attitude and the behavior of the president in the way he handles persons working under him, whether it's security, whether it is professionals in the public sector, etc. We're seeing one type of attitude. We recently had, I believe that incident happened this very week. I'm not sure if it's Berbice or West Coast, where he handled, he was calling for a GPL staff or infrastructure staff. And we saw his behavior with that. What's your take?
Well, look, those are the things that upset you. You publicly berate staff on that. It's a professionalism. You haven't that. Someone comes and make an accusation against a staff, and then you, of course, you can, because you said you're president, insult them. He hasn't even insulted people, belittled them, and then thinks makes and he feels he's being effective. He feels that how he's being presidential, but that's totally unpresidential. You ever heard Mandela, who think one of the greatest presidents? Have you ever heard him berating staff? You ever hear him cursing out and these things? And the way you said, and even former President Granger, I'm sure he would have gone to places and persons would have made complaints to him, and he would said at the professional court yesterday, I understand what your issue is, and I will get somebody to look at it. As soon as he jumps in the car, I know this for sure. He gets on the phone, he's blue, man. He says, listen to me. We have a problem here or there. We have a problem here or there. You know what I mean? And you do these things, and there you go, and putting people to speak as though, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But one day you'll do that, and somebody will say, I need this bleep, bleep, bleep job.
Correct.
Bleep, bleep, bleep you.
It's because people are desperate to keep their jobs.
That's why you can do these things. You know what I mean? Look, there's a saying, you can take the pig out of the mud, but it's impossible to take the mud out of the pig, right? So I think that probably just sums up where we are. Not only him, you know what I mean, where we are here. We see them saying things. I mean, I see how he's walking around with Nigerian diamond. Come,
That's another thing.
That's an insult to every mother,
Child, correct.
female. I mean, to the family. I mean, this is a man who is allegedly a serial rapist, allegedly these things. You know, what I mean, this is not. He wasn't charged because the charge was dropped, but he had to be with the repercussion. And you're walking around with him. So in other words, you're saying, I mean, you didn't even say, well, put him in a back room and say Nigel get treatment. You know what I mean? If these are the things that you're being alleged to be doing,
you shouldn't be seen with him in public. But a shameless government.
But you know what that signals to all the other pedophiles, the wrong, and all the other men that feel they could take advantage of you. That you can do it and we will accept you. You will lose no status. You wouldn't go to jail, nothing at all. And you can walk with me as the president.
Yeah. As we wrap up, is there any other thing that we didn't touch on that you may want to say to the viewers very quickly?
Well, my general thing, not on the budget, my general thing that I think your views are eyes and ears. I want to encourage you. It doesn't take much because you're always on social media. I mean, and if you don't want to post something publicly, you can send it to us and we will do it. But there's so much going on, right? Every single day there isn't a single day. This morning I'm coming to Parliament, I stopped at the shop to buy some mints. And the guy who was driving a delivery truck saw me come on my car, pulled me over to tell me something that I should go and look at. I was on questioning the Minister of Public Works. I think that was on Tuesday. I think while I'm there, I'm getting messages on my Facebook Messenger saying, "Don't know what he's saying is not true." So I mean. And you send it to us, and we will make use of it because all is not well. It's not a happy country, you know what I mean? I mean, we love this country. We all of us want to stay here, but we're not a happy people. I mean, we have a lot to rejoice for, I mean, because we have oil and those things like that. We can be happy, but we're not at the moment. So, but all is now lost, folks. You be our eyes and ears. You let us help us fight the good fight.
All right, thank you. Thank you once again for joining us. Viewers, today I will be having another MP we'll be speaking with in a little. But as she comes on, I want us to take a look at a video where the government, we're seeing a continuous inhumane treatment of persons within this country. And we have another situation that is arising currently in the area of success. And I'd like us to take just a short glimpse of that video before I introduce my second guest for today.
I'm living in success squatting over 4 years. The first time when we start squatting, this bush was so high. When I taller than me, I go through and we chopping and we cleaning corns in my hands and stuff. It wasn't easy thing. We were flood out. We sleep. Your pains in my body and all these things. I was saying, come. They say, why we squat? If you apply for land and you ain't got land, since in 2002 I apply for land and me got now. I come and I squat. I lose my child because of this. And I come and I bring my children here. And we start squatting, we sleeping on the water and these things. They tell us come to house and we went down there. Everybody was there. They called 5 persons at a time. We said first set of 5 persons that went in. Wednesday, housing come in. They say, we have by Saturday to move and go on the land where they give us. Look, this is the paper. 500,000. 800. 8,000 for surveil. 3,000 for land fee. 500 for step duty. Watch at this. Then they give you, watch it, read the letter, viewers. a month to pay $250,000 a month. I'm a single parent with 6 children. You understand? I'm not working for $100,000. I'm working for less than $100,000. How can I find $250,000? I had to go borrow this money. You understand? I don't have a structure. If they left the structure that they left there, we don't build on. You understand? If you left it, it fall down. You understand? I get the doctor DCXC. CXC. No light, no water. If you see the distance, it got back. Without no light, no water. How she studying? We are watching come done. I want the viewers to see the distance, that we are not lying. No light, no water. You see the road system, you see when the vehicle pass, all the dust. Look, your babies, a lot of people. Always is single, mostly single parents here. Most of us is women.
My concern is that I'm living here 2 years ago. I have 6 kids, but 5 people with me. Well, these people gave land, but I didn't have a birth certificate. So they didn't give me no land. I went and got my birth certificate. Now they say they can't give me a land still till I get my ID. So I'm on the process of that. So they put me through down at the back. They say like 5 minutes to walk and go down there. I have 4 children going to school. And I wonder where is it going to be to walk from back there to come to the front here with no white light, no water, no current, how my children will study, how I get water to cook, how I look after my kids. I'm a single mother with 6 kids. I need support. I need some sort of assistance. And if they can move me from here, I don't know why they don't give me right here. Because we developed this place. This place was developed by us. It's not by them. Now they want to sell this place to people who have more money than we. And we are not human too. We have right here. We are Guyanese. We the one who put them there. Now the claim say, however we live in here, we have to go and live the same way back there. How we squat here, there's really no problem. They say they have no water, no light in the process at the moment. So what about the people who have small kids going on to the back there without water? We can't live. How we gonna cook, how we gonna wash, and how we gonna look at kids? And who don't have a vehicle to move from back to front, how we gonna move?
Here you have it. That is persons who are living in the success area. And what is happening there? Oh, just before I continue explaining what's happening, let me first introduce my second guest for today's program. No stranger to the show, no stranger to the platform. So we're going to start rocking. None other than MP Coretta Mcdonald, who has been on it through the budgets, and as usual, all the time dealing with the issues that we are faced with. So we were just looking at that video there. Let me try to leave here. Yes, we're just looking at the video there. This morning, what I understand would have happened, the minister would have went into the area on Tuesday. They're doing some form of development in that area, and after his visit on Tuesday, after having some back and forth with the residents and asking them between December of last year and January 12th, where they were asking them to pay between $250,000 to $500,000 within less than a month, so that they can receive some lands that are about 60 minutes. It's about a 60 minutes walk from where they currently are. No water, no light, no means really to get in, because the road is just a dust road, no civilization in sight. And they want them to pay that amount of money and move. And then on Tuesday, they would have said to them, they have until this Saturday to remove or be removed. So that's what's happening there. I visited with Miss Robin Simon and some others. Travis Chase was there as well this morning. And mostly single mothers. That's what you're seeing there. And they have children school age doing varying jobs, not able, they're unable to come up with $250,000 in less than a month. By no means can they do that. and now you're forcing them out. What are your thoughts on that before we go into the other stuff?
Well, Shanika, thanks again for having me on this program. When you see these things happen, you cannot help but put yourselves in the position that these mothers are finding themselves in. Because as a mother with children, I understand how a mother would feel not being able to raise a sum of $250,000, where you work by yourself, you're
Mm-hmm.
self-employed,
Yes.
and you are trying there to make ends meet, and
Meet.
you're doing everything that is possible. And then up comes this surprise where you're asked to move within a specified time. And then you had no plans of going anywhere, but and they expect you to go somewhere. I don't know what caring we talk about when we hear about the one Guyana and because we care.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe our interpretation of caring is somewhat different from that of the PPP. But it's not the first time. We have seen them move in on the women at Success before.
Correct.
They flooded their homes one night when they were asleep. They woke up to water in their homes and water surrounding the entire area where they were living. When that
Mm-hmm.
was not enough, they got the police
Yeah.
to bulldoze some of those homes.
Yes.
And then we saw them doing that in Buxton. And then we saw them most recently there was that one, whether it's recent or it's not recent, we saw the same action in Mocha.
Mm-hmm.
And as we speak, that patch there, Caneview Avenue, is it's almost a jungle now.
Mm-hmm.
The development they were talking about and the hindering of the road project,
Project.
we
Mm-hmm.
have not seen any form of hindrance.
Mm-hmm.
But those families have all been dispersed. And so you still have some of those family members still living with friends,
Friends.
still
Yes.
living with relatives. And so this here is one of the mantra of the PPP,
Mm-hmm.
to dislodge people,
Mm-hmm.
to oppress people,
Mm-hmm.
to keep them always on their knees, so that when you come around with your $5,000, and when they come around with their $40,000, and when they come around with the with a little cash grant,
Mm-hmm.
that you're always going to be there. You see, the PPP, they sat there over the years, and they have already worked out how they are going to continue to keep people oppressed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see the method that, if you look at the method that they're using across this country, you would recognize and agree with me that the PPP feels that they are in an upper class,
Mm-hmm.
and the masses of Guyanese citizens are way down. And I say that comment referencing the fact when the now Attorney General said he is a chatri.
Mm-hmm.
And so, once you go there, you're talking about class system.
Yeah.
And that's what they're employing in this country. And they don't have any intentions of teaching
Mm-hmm.
the masses to fish.
Mm-hmm.
They want to always continue to drop a half of a fish, a
Mm-hmm.
quarter of a fish, a three-quarter of a fish to you, and then they come another long time. And because they know that people are desperate and people are really in need of the cash grants that they offer, they continue to drop that on you.
Mm-hmm.
And while they continue to drop that on you, they continue to disperse families, they continue to break up people's homes, they continue to put you in positions where you cannot help yourself. And that's how heartless the PPP are.
One of the things, yeah, it's you talked about cash grants. The young ladies would have even said in talking to us that when they were handing out the $25,000 cash grants and they came around those areas, they told them plain, you can't have it. Y'all are squatting.
Wow.
So it didn't matter that they were mothers with children or they had families, they were living in a home, but they were told because they're squatting, they couldn't get it.
And so it means that if you're a squatter, it takes away the entire, it takes away the authority, it takes away your belonging, you belonging, it takes away your nationality. That you are no
Apparently,
longer a Guyanese, you're not a Guyanese.
you're not
And
entitled.
even when you're not Guyanese, because we've seen them giving to the Venezuelans.
Mhm.
So it strips one of everything when they tell you that you're a squatter and you're not entitled to. But then we hear them talk on other forums. This is for Guyana, one
Mhm.
Guyana. Guyana.
Mhm.
And the budget is for
All
all
the people.
Guyanese.
Mhm.
And Guyanese are our friends and they are our families and we are catering for them. But on the other hand, you see
Mhm.
just how they operate,
This is how they treat their
contrary to
family,
what they say.
friends. This is how they treat them.
That's how they treat family and friends. And if that's the kind of treatment you give to family and friends, then I don't want to be a family nor a friend.
Correct, correct. Now, we have that happening, and of course, I will be following this story and checking in to see what happens tomorrow because that's the deadline. And I must say that many of them said, we don't have a problem. We are happy to get land wherever you're going to send it to, give it to us. But how do I go to live at a place where there is no water? How do I cook for my children? There's absolutely no infrastructure in the piece of area that they were asking. One of the young ladies went as far as to say, well, they said they're giving them these allotments. They took them to the back and showed them the area. So she said, well, we'll take pictures now that you're handing these out. And she said one of the persons said to them, no, we can't take any pictures of this. Somebody said you want us to be fired. So now that leaves us to wonder what is really the transaction that is happening in that regard.
But don't forget that
Mhm,
we've had a series of issues where fraudulent transactions have been happening. We had
mhm,
the one at Natural Resources Ministry with GOSI with the signing off of the 211 million US,
mhm.
which could have been used to pay the teachers,
Mhm.
which could have been used to pay other public servants,
Servants.
which could have been used to develop some of these same lands, these same communities that we have there, and
Mhm,
ensure that people can live comfortable.
mhm,
And then we've had the funny transactions at the Ministry of Housing again,
mhm.
and so it's all over in every single ministry. We hear about the local government ministry, we heard about the education ministry. Every single ministry we have these kinds of fraudulent activities popping
Occurring.
their faces up, and
Mhm,
then you don't see people getting the kind of punishment that
mhm.
they're supposed to get, which gives you the impression that the administration is comfortable with what is happening.
Correct. Now, there are other things happening, of course. There is a lot happening in the education system. You would have just finished that, or I believe part of the questioning for the estimates. Let's talk about that. What has that been like?
They, like everything else, every year we find it quite disappointing because and unless we change the system of how we operate in Parliament, our Guyanese population will continue to be left unattended.
Mhm,
Because you have here in the education sector, there has been $135.2 billion
mhm,
that was allotted to that sector.
mhm.
But the arrangement here in Parliament doesn't give you the ability to ask the questions that you want to ask and to get the kind of responses you
Yeah.
expect to get
Correct.
from the subject ministers. What you get many times, you ask a simple yes or no question, and you get from Genesis to Revelation as the answer.
Mhm,
And the speaker that we have, he is not he's not mindful that there's a time allotment
mhm.
for that sector to answer questions, for the subject minister to answer the questions. And so he doesn't stop the subject minister. He allows them to go on. But if you, as the person asking the
Asking.
question, if you were to have a preamble before you identify the code that you're asking the question on, he would ask you, where are you speaking on this? Those kinds of things. And I'm saying that our parliament should be balanced.
Mhm,
Uh, Persons should be able to ask their questions freely. Outside of that, you recognize that the way the whole budget estimates are structured, there are quite a lot of times monies hidden in other
yes.
areas on
Mhm,
the different line items. And so when you try to pull those out from the ministers, and we saw it happening just now with the education minister, she went on to talk about our government is going to do this and we're doing that, but that wasn't the question.
mhm,
I noted that I was very, very anxious to ask about the Critchlow Labour College
mhm,
and where noticing the $15 million that they have there allotted for the Christian Labor College. It was allotted last year. It was allotted this year. But the minister, even while she, and of course, you know that the minister has, I don't want to say it's an obsession, but the minister has, she's coming out with a vendetta, let me say that, whenever Coretta turns up anywhere. I don't know why the minister, if she feels that I don't know. I just don't know.
So you're added to the list of the feuds.
Yes. So the minister feels that she must always be in this aggressive mood whenever she has to answer a question or whenever Coretta Mcdonald turns up anywhere. But that's okay with me because, you know, the world will see her attitude. As a matter of fact, her attitude was so stink, not today, but yesterday, that would have caused her former colleague minister to lash out at her on Facebook yesterday, on Facebook, and that was trending. So, and he said it. We don't have to say it again. He said it, that education is in disarray.
Yes, he did say that yesterday.
And so, all we have been saying all the time is what he has confirmed. And to say to her that everybody is watching, the world is watching, it's in the newspapers, it's in the news everywhere. And so the ministers refused again to answer the question with regard to the Critchlow Labour College and the sum allotted to them, whether they'll receive it this year and whether the provisions is there for them to receive the monies for last year. She has refused to answer that. And so we see clearly that a certain class of people, their children will not have a second chance under this government to educate themselves. And we can go on to say that under this minister, we have seen it. History was created where we had the whole episodes of school fires.
Yeah,
we have seen them giving information to not information, contracts to their friends and cronies. The Bamia Primary School, it cannot be completed as yet, and you're hearing absolute silence when it comes to that particular school. We have quite a lot of schools in Linden Region 10 where there is flea infestation. School building, the structures are not formed. We just saw a teacher sliding down the stairs, breaking both of her hands, and you're not hearing that there is provision for these in the education sector. I asked the question today about the schools. There is a sum allotted on the education, and the minister's answer to me was, these things were already dealt with yesterday under the local government budget. But we have a sum there on the education. So it shows us again that one, they have things to hide. Two, there is an absolute disconnect in between the ministries and the ministers, so they don't collaborate. Because if they were collaborating, then the minister would have been able to say to me, well, look, ABC, even though it was dealt with on the local government, and you have this sum there, look, ABC. But the minister clearly has something to hide. As a matter of fact, the minister, when she was asked a question by my colleague, and she was saying whether there were provisions for several of the schools for the East Romville, the extension that was done on the East Romville secondary school, whether that was completed, whether there's provision for West Romville Primary and the West Romville Secondary. And the minister did not know that there is a school by the name of West Romville Secondary. And so she was trying to tell my colleague, like they would have for me and so do to distract you. There isn't a West Romville Secondary, there is Ascension, you get it mixed up. So I had to remark them to say the minister's got to be taught. We got to do some training with her, because when I asked the question about the Critchlow Labour College, she said I needed to get some training to look at the budget, to know how to read the budget. So I was just returning that to her to say we would be happy to do some training with you, some social studies and some geography, so that you would know that there's a West Romville Secondary School. But this is what we have happening all the time. You never have the time that you want to really delve into the budget, because even when I said to her, kindly lay over, she went on to rattle off, So, and that is one form of killing the time, so that you wouldn't have enough time to answer the questions. outside of that, because of the speaker who stands there, sits there, and he is oftentimes very protective of the ministers.
Mhm.
So, you come across as if sometimes you don't know what you're asking when you ask the questions.
Mhm.
But this is all it's all a way of making us more aware of how the PPP operate, of how they want to siphon off the monies in the budgets,
Mhm.
and how they are committed to ensuring that the poorer class of Guyanese remain poor. We hear the talks about school buildings, and they are going to be looking at school buildings, restructuring, rehabilitation of school buildings. But I've seen there you had, when we talk about cleaning and janitorials and so on, you're seeing vast decline in those.
Mhm.
But the minister, when you ask the question whether there is no more cleaning that is supposed to be done because you probably did all the cleaning again, she wants to tell you things like, well, they don't need to do those kinds of cleaning because they would have given grants to the teachers. Now, the grants for the teachers is not for cleaning. It's not for cleaning. While you might have some janitorial supplies there, it's not for the teachers
It's
to clean. I heard her talk about cleaning, employing more sweeper cleaners. So I'm going to be looking out to see whether every school, because I did ask her that, since you're talking about this, the skilled and unskilled staff, where she said it's going to be an increase of sweeper cleaners as one of the categories. I said I hope that every school will have cleaners. Then I went on to raise the issue about security in schools, because I know security in our schools is a big one.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, that is catered for under the regions. But as Minister of Education, you
You should
must
know.
know which schools are manned by which security firm and how many security personnel, because I was interested in how many security personnel we are going to have at
On
each
each
school.
school.
Because there are some schools you're supposed to have 2, some 3, some 4. And in many instances, you see one, sometimes you don't see any. Or you see them there for the early part of the afternoon, and as soon as night closes, then the security company asks them to go somewhere else. And then the schools are left. Sometimes during the day, there are no security at schools. There's no security at school. And we know the risks that teachers and learners are exposed to at this time. Robberies at schools, parents running into schools to bash teachers, students holding schools under siege. But here is it, the minister, they are not prepared to answer the questions that you ask of them because they clearly have something to hide.
All right. There's so much, we always never have enough time to go through all the things that we want to. But there are a few things that I still want us to touch on very quickly. We see, you talked about the whole sweeper cleaner thing there and stuff, and the teachers, whatever money she's saying that is given to them. I saw a clip that is now making its round on social media where she is literally stating without any shame, anything about it, that basically are calling the teachers thieves, because she's saying that they are giving them X amount of money, and she knows for a fact that teachers do not spend that amount of money in the classroom. Therefore, she gives them something in their pocket. We have that happening, that video making rounds, and a lot of teachers are very upset because for a lot of teachers, what we know and what we hear of is that they spend way more than that sometimes in their classrooms with aides and even assisting students because of the current situation. Your thoughts on that piece of clip?
Well, that piece of clip that is making the waves around social media is a clear indication where, one, the Minister of Education, she is deeming teachers as being thieves, and secondly, she's saying that teachers have some change to put in their pockets when there is an entire process that teachers have to go through, spending of that money and acting for the money. Every single cent that you spend, that the teachers spend there, they have to show, they have to put receipts for it. So I don't know what, sometimes the minister just speaks very crazy. But I think what is happening to her is the fact that there is an industrial action that is looming right
Well,
now.
we're getting
And
to
so
that.
it has her going crazy, crazy all the time. And so, in order to justify why teachers should not go out there on industrial action, she's trying to show, well, look, teachers get monies, they get grants. But I want to make it clear that the grants the minister is talking about is not a grant for the teacher.
Mhm.
Is a grant that has been given, and each child is assigned a sum in that grant. So if we have to get pencils, then we buy pencils for all of those children who don't have pencils from the sum that has been allotted to them.
Mhm.
If you have to buy whether it's exercise books or cardboard or markers or paint, powdered paint, whatever it is that they have to buy, it is what will benefit each child, and there's no benefit there for the teacher. As a matter of fact, let me say, teachers are complaining that they have this sum that has been given to them, and let's use numbers loosely. 15 learners in a class. So it's 15, and the minister is claiming $4,000, while the teachers are saying it's $3,500. But let's round it off and say $4,000. So it's 15 learners at $4,000. Now, there is no way there that caters for transportation for the teacher to get to where the teacher has got to go, or to have the teacher returned. That's one. Two, there is no provision in there for any laborer to assist this teacher to assist the teacher to move whatever the teacher has got to move from one place to another. Now, when we go to some of these entities, they don't always offer the kind of service we need in terms of you go there, you make your purchase, and they drop off to your location. The teacher has got to use either a taxi to get the stuff from one point to and return them to school. But then when you get to school, you have to get persons to lift the what you would have bought there. And now you can't use the people's children. I mean, the little items, yes, you can use the children in your class to move them from the taxi to the classroom. But the huge items, teachers have got to struggle. They got to call the sweeper cleaner, or maybe if the guard is there, they ask the guard for assistance. And teachers have been complaining about that. And so when I hear the minister go around to talk about teachers have gotten so much and so much and so much, I wonder what is this so much that they're talking about? Because teachers are crying out for a substantial raise in their salaries. That's what teachers are crying out for. And teachers are not receiving that. Teachers always are given what the government feel that they should get, a little throwdown somewhere. And so the throwdown moved from 8.8% to 6.5%. And those are the issues that I would expect the minister to address. As we speak, I'm getting loads and loads of information coming into me. Laventure Secondary, where there's a classroom out on the corridor. When it rains, the classroom has got to be there. We just saw the video that is making its way all around social media. St. John the Baptist Primary School in Barticle, where the children and the teacher had umbrellas because it was raining. We've seen pictures of schools where the roof is caving in. There's not proper lighting in the school, not proper flooring there. Stairways are broken. Toilets are not flushing. And this is known. We have West Bromwell Primary School. We've got issues at the same not David Rose, West Bromwell Secondary School, West Bromwell Primary School. We've got issues at Peters Hall Primary School. We've got Liana Nursery School. We've got St. Pius, and these are all schools within Georgetown. And so when the minister opens her mouth to speak, the minister gives you big, broad statement. But the issues, we have teachers sending me information from Bartica, Agata Primary School, what is happening at that school, and so many other schools. But I am going to list all of these. I'm going to post them on Facebook so that the minister will be able to see them. Because every time you raise issues, they tell you that you're making these up. So we're going to post those pictures with all the issues that teachers are faced with in their schools, so that the minister would see clearly that the issues we are highlighting, that they're not made up issues. And of course, we cannot allow them to know who is sending the information to us,
Correct,
because you
correct,
know how they'll victimize teachers.
correct.
But this is all, one would think that if a government wants to ensure that they are successful, then, and you have nothing to hide, then you should include the citizens of the country at every level possible.
Correct.
Include the citizens there. But no, it's just a cook shop there for the elites, and you have contracts being given to one person receiving several contracts, and then they have to ask for extension and extension, because the same manpower that they use at one location is the same manpower for the next. So all of these
No
projects
proper
are being
planning.
delayed, and because of friends, family favorites, and we got flatterers now, you have that kind of situation. I would have been happy to hear the minister talk about the new Campbellville Secondary
Yes,
School, the new building, the front building. That building is leaning. You don't hear anything about that building. We got issues at Ketley Primary School. We got so many issues, but the minister is just vague with what she tells you. I know we have the North Rumbelt Secondary School. I'm not sure when that is going to be completed, because we didn't get the time to ask about that one. But I visited that school just about 2 days ago, and the teachers are complaining that they are not allowed to go in there to see what is happening there. They're not, even though they're in the same compound, they're not allowed to go to see what is happening there. They're always getting, the chief engineer is not there, or they don't have enough safety gears. There's always an excuse,
A barrier.
for preventing the teachers from going in there. But the teachers are complaining, look at what is happening. You don't have they don't have windows on the that is the northern side. The northern side, they don't have windows there. They have those little slots there. So you can imagine when that school is completed,
When rain falls.
and when it rains, that's one. And when when the sun is up, how hot that concrete enclosure is going to be. The teachers have also complained that every day the offices are on the ground, the flat. Most of the offices are on the ground flat, and they don't understand why these offices are placed on the ground flat. At least you should have offices on the second and the top flat. Teachers have complained too about the sizes of the classrooms, and so the teachers are just worried that when that structure would have been completed, it would be a waste of money, because it will not serve efficiently the purpose that it is meant to serve.
All right. As we wrap up quickly, because I'm way over time at this point, I want you to touch with us. We know that there's that industrial strike that is looming on Monday. What should we know about this coming? I know that we've heard of a memo going around schools and them asking teachers to sign a document which in turn tells them that the strike is illegal. What are your thoughts?
Well, let me say to you that strike over the years has been legal because it is in the Constitution. The
Correct.
Constitution gives us the right to strike. And you strike even in your homes when your children are not satisfied with the way things are happening. They rebel. And so that in itself can be deemed as a strike. But all of that can be averted if we deal with issues before it gets to that level. And so it has been since 2020 that the Guyana Teachers Union would have been back and forth with the government, Ministry of Education included, with the proposal we submitted. What the government has done is that they have decided, they made a decision that they will punish teachers. And they're punishing teachers because the majority of the teaching sector are Afro-Guyanese. And we have some Indo-Guyanese and we have the indigenous teachers and we have the mixed teachers there. But the majority of teachers are Afro-Guyanese. And it is presumed that Afro-Guyanese support the coalition. And so to punish and to spite the coalition, you punish the teachers. and you punish those who you presume are supporters of the coalition. And you know, we run away from the fact that the same constitution we talk about and the democracy we talk about, the same constitution gives us the right to belong to any group, political party, or wherever religion that we want to belong to. But so teachers are being punished for that. And the PPP don't mind punishing their own supporters in order to punish the majority of citizens in this country. And we see the same way they treat the public servants and the nurses. But the GTU strike, we have exhausted every possible measure that there was, starting 2020, and this is 2024. So if, like I'm hearing from the minister, I'm hearing from the vice president, I'm hearing from the chief education officer that the strike is unjustified, then you tell me what is justified. After 3+ years, you're still telling me that the strike is justified when you have not made yourselves available to let us sit and seriously look at a proposal that was submitted. What we have seen the government doing is pulling bits and pieces from the proposal the GTU would have submitted, modifying it to suit themselves, and then they jump out there to say, look, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. But let me remind the viewers that I joined I became active in the union in 2000. And from then, I've been hearing the talk about the notes of lessons, how much teachers had to write. And back then, you had to be writing notes of lessons. I enjoyed that too. Not only writing notes of lessons, but you have the journals that you have to do. You have the schemes of work that you have to copy from, and then you have to write up your scheme of work. We have the whole issue with teachers having their class logbook, where you have all the information about your learners. And then you still have the CIDC cards, which is another document that carries the same information like your logbook. And these are all burdensome for teachers. In addition to that, teachers still have to teach their classes. And so we have been asking that we cut down on all of these records that teachers have to be submitting and teachers have to complete. So now when we see the ministry come with that, the CEO he's coming out with that as if it's something new. And look what we have done. We've eased the burden from teachers. Look what we have done. We're offering teachers their certificate. Let me remind them, when Minister Rupert Rupnarine was there, we had amnesty for teachers who would have graduated within a certain period and they did not receive their trained teacher certificate, that they no longer be assessed, because you have to be assessed and then you get your trained teachers. That we forego that. So all of these things that they're coming up with, that they did this, that, those were all there already, and you were stagnating the process. So all you were doing now is just, it's not a given or a new thing that you're employing now. When we talk about allowances for additional qualification, that has been there before 2006. In 2006, we sought to modify and put that in our proposal, and we had that proposal signed. So if you calculate from 2006 to now, I don't know what the chief education officer is talking about, but of course the chief education officer has to do what he has got to do, because he was not appointed.
Union initiates industrial action over the government's failure to address the multi-year agreement proposed by the union. Since 2020, the GTU has been pushing for an across-the-board increase in salaries as part of a multi-year agreement. The union had proposed a 25% salary increase for 2019 and 20% each year for the years 2020, 2021, and 2022 and 2023. But instead, was met with imposed salary increases and non-salary benefits from the government. GTU General Secretary Coretta Mcdonald today told News Source that teachers have had enough and they are ready to withdraw their services for a period of 2 weeks, starting from Monday, the 5th of February.
Now, we would expect the Ministry of Labour to be very neutral.
The GTU has
October last year, indicating that talks between the union and the government had broken down, resulting in the initiation of the process of conciliation. It was noted that the conciliatory process was never advanced because the Labour Ministry never responded to the request by the GTU. McDonald said the GTU then wrote to the Labour Ministry again, industrial action over the government's failure to address the multi-year agreement proposed by the union. Since 2020, the GTU has been pushing for an across-the-board increase in salaries as part of a multi-year agreement. The union had proposed a 25% salary increase for 2019 and 20% each year for the years 2020, 2021, and 2022 and 2023. But instead, it was met with imposed salary increases and non-salary benefits from the government. GTU General.
Rather than highlighting the position that an individual holds in the union, he went there to the individual's name. And he said to me yesterday that he had to put my name on that in that letter. He had to put my name. I said, but Cyril, why couldn't you have said correct Mark like president and Coretta Mcdonald representative? And he said, no, I can't put the Mark's name there. I can't put the Mark's name there. I have to put your name. Which is saying to me that they are trying to make teachers in another class to say, because Coretta Mcdonald is an MC, which they know, like, because our parents are smart, and the entire Diana, and those who don't understand that this year is free. Because I can tell you in 2018 when we took the game situation, right. He had a lot to say, and he was calling on President Granger to speak to the teachers union.
And they just asking the same.
And he said the strike is not illegal. He said teachers deserve more monies. And he even went so far to tell President Granger that you needed to cut on dietary and you needed to cut on the bond that they were renting and some other issue. He said that if they cut on that, they'll be able to pay teachers. Now we're saying the same thing to you. Cut on, he said travel. So I'm saying to him now, tell your president and yourself, cut on some of the external travels and you will have the monies to pay the teachers. And to tell you that our strike has nothing to do with politics, because even if teachers have party cards, they can't take those party cards to a supermarket and swipe it. Teachers are feeling the squeeze. Teachers are under pressure. And for that reason, our teachers all across this country, let me say that, with all the threats that they have been issuing to teachers, our teachers all across this country are ready to down tools on Monday. So parents, on Monday, our teachers are not going to be in school. And we want to urge you to support our teachers, because when you support the teachers will be able to function even more effectively for your children. And that would make your children's learning comfortable. Support the teachers. Keep your children at home. As a matter of fact, you should come out there and join us too as we clamor for better conditions of work, because you've seen what teachers have to go through in schools. Better conditions of work we need, and we need increases in salaries.
Well, I want to thank you very, very much for being here today and giving us the relevant information, that we have been seeking. It's always a privilege to have you here. Thank you to my viewers as well for being here today. We had an extended show today, but we know that you were listening. There are lots of comments there. I didn't get to read into any of the comments today, but continue to follow us on our platforms as the Parliament session continues, and you'll be able to see more coverage on the questioning of the estimates. Thank you for joining Facing the Nation, and see you next week, same time. Do have a wonderful afternoon.